County Citizens Redistricting Commission has retained as a demographer and a mapping consultant. And she has expertise in the use of the software and will be walking you through this. I encourage any and all of you, if you're not subscribers, to sign up. The link is redistrictinglacounty.gov. We are entering into the period of where we are encouraging the public to provide maps of where you feel the supersorial district should be drawn. The commission is in the process of reviewing these submitted maps. In late October, they will develop what they see as the best options. Those will be posted, and the entire month of November will be dedicated to public hearings regarding these options and further refinements of them. The deadline for completion of this process is December 15th by the commission for adopting the final map. And with that, I turn it over to you, Priti.
Thank you, Gayla. Good morning, everyone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run a short PowerPoint, and then we will actually go into the application. So this initial PowerPoint talks about how you can access the application. And you can access the LA County Redistricting website using this URL. And you can go to the application with this, and you can bookmark this link. This is the application that the county and the commissioners will use to create and to evaluate the redistricting plans, which will be submitted by the community. This application is free for use by all. So this from the LA CRC website, you would go to learn and use the redistricting mapping software. And with that, you can click here to access the software. And once you have this, you are in the application page, you would sign into the portal for ArcGIS. Now, if you do not have a user ID and password, you would go to create an account, and you're going to create a user ID for yourself. But if you already have it, you can click on sign into the portal for ArcGIS and start creating drawing maps. So I want to go over some terminology. In the application, what we will do is we will create the plans. And plans are nothing else but your concept of how the 5 supervisorial districts should be. And the plans must follow the redistricting criteria, and no one can see your plans until you choose to submit them or to share them with whoever you may like to. The census geography, they use state, county, tract, block groups, and blocks. And as you can see that there are a number of those. As you know, LA County is big. So what the county has done, they have simplified the geography to redistricting data units or communities. So you can actually work with communities, which so if you think of a city like the city of Gardena, you can select that community and choose to put it in a district. Other layers that are available to you are there in the application as reference layers, and there are places, neighborhood councils, current supervisorial districts. And what you can also do is, if you do not want to submit all the 5 districts, you can just choose to put one district as a community of interest. Some other terminology that we use a lot in redistricting, which is ideal population. Ideal population is nothing else but total population divided by 5. The maximum deviation is another concept. So ideally, it's like each district in LA County should have about 2 million people. And the law allows us for a 10% maximum deviation. And that is the difference between the least and the most populated district. We will also talk about the demographic variables. And typically we want to use the standard variables, which include total and voting age population. the redistricting criteria, and some of it I talked about before. Each district shall be reasonably equal in total resident population. And the Voting Rights Act of 1965 allows us a 10% maximum deviation. Minority population shall comply with the Federal Voting Rights Act of 1965, which basically means that we should not try to put all the minorities in one district, or we should not try to split the minorities, crack their vote. We should not dilute their vote in any way. The district should be contiguous. If there are communities of interest, which like local neighborhoods, we should try to keep them together as much as possible. And the districts, to the extent practical, should be compact. And of course, they should not conflict with population equality, minority population contiguity, communities of interest, etc. With this, I'll get into the login procedures. So if you already have a user ID password, you can save that. So every time you log in, you do not have to type it in. But if you do not have a user ID password, then you would click on that, create an account, and you're going to provide all this information. And also, what they like to know is they have security questions. So whichever security question you may like to give the answer here, and also keep a note of it somewhere. So when you forget your password, the system is going to ask for that security question. So once you have passed all that, then there is this licensing agreement that shows up, and you would like to agree to it in order to use the application. Now that with all this, you're logged into the application, and the next step is to create a plan. So with this, I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint, and I am actually going to share the application screen. And let me see where the application is. Okay. Can you see? Okay, here we go. No. Now, can you see my screen? Now, let me try to share it one more time. Okay. Okay, can you see my screen? What I'll do is I'll sign out, and this is how the application window, when you type in this URL, or if you bookmark it, this is how it shows up, like I showed it to you in my PowerPoint. I'm going to sign into the portal for ArcGIS, and I'm going to use one of my citizen accounts, and I'm going to sign in. So here, when I sign into the application, it tells me that my user ID tells me the plan that I'm going to be working with. So I'm prompted with 3 choices. I can start creating a new supervisorial district map, or I could work with the current supervisorial districts and make some changes, or I can come up with the community of interest template where I can just make one district. So let's click on the new supervisorial districts and click OK. Now, when you get this application, you pick a new and default, which is nothing on it, no districts. It's an empty blank map. So when you get that, here it says that this is the template that we're using and it's read only. So first thing I would like to do is I would like to save it as mine so that when I make some changes, I can actually save them and open them back again at a later date. So I will say File, Save. And of course, I don't have permission, so I'll say Save As. And I will give it a name. And I would like to give a description as well. When I'm creating real plans, then I would like to do that so that when I come back, I would remember why I created this plan. So now the plan is saved, and it's saved as a training demo that I just created. And now the next job is, if you look at the application window down here, by default, it adds all these demographic variables. Now, this is what each district should have: at least 9,585 people in each district. So these here, this is Latino population, white, Black, American Indian, Asian, Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, other, and people of more than 2 races. Now, this is based on the census 2020 PL 94-171 data set. And if you look at all these over here, these are the citizen voting age population. So by default, these variables are attached to the plan that I selected. Now, this is the data window. This is the map window. And I like to show you the reference layers. So when you look at this part of the application window, you would click on it and it's going to show you other layers which are available and which we can choose to turn on. So the one that I'm interested in showing you is the LA County reference layers. And the ones that I would like to turn on is cities and communities. When we do that, I turn them both on, and I also have to turn this box on. So I'll turn that on, and you will see that these layers are being drawn as well as labeled. So as you zoom in, you're going to see the labels. And keep in mind that this is a cloud-based application. So sometimes it may take just a tad bit longer. But it's pretty quick. So here you can see the communities, you can see them, see the labels. And also, if you would like to see what is being displayed in what color, you can click on legend, and it says the red ones are the cities, incorporated cities, and the blue ones are the unincorporated areas. So with that, what we would do is, now we are going to look at the top bar here. So there are several tabs, and we are going to try to go through each one of those. So first thing is, we already used the Save As option. There are several other options that I can choose to save something. Instead of the cloud, I may like to save it local, so on my own desktop. Then I may also like to import something. So if there is something on the hub that we talked about, which is a place where all the data could be, all the submitted plans could be. So if I wanted, or if a friend of mine gave me a file, I could go into the import using a shapefile, and I can bring it here. And likewise, I can export the shapefile so that I could share it with somebody who's not using this application, or somebody who's working on a desktop, has some other software, I can export it. So right now, and anytime you're done with this, you can just simply tuck it away. And the next tab is it's a learn thing, it's like a little help over here. And you can click on how to get a quick tour of the application. But pretty much I talked about login, and now I'm getting into creating the districts. And once you create them, you have to review them, and you can share them and submit them to the commission for their review. So view tab is where you spend the most time. So here, and not view, I'm sorry, in the create tab. So the view tab just lets you look at your district names, and you can fill your districts or you can have them as an outline. But let's get into the create tab, where we are actually going to start creating the districts. So I would like to, if you notice here that we have 5 districts and they're all blank. So we can choose the area that we would like to do. So let's say I want to start with District 1. So I will select District 1 because that is the one that I want to start filling and start creating my district. So the next choice is, where do I want my District 1 to be? I can have it up top. I can have whichever way I would like. I can do that. So here, District 1. And now I'm going to zoom in to see where I would like my disk. So here there are some zoom in tools that you would use. So you can zoom in like that, or you can simply use it on your mouse. The scroll function on the mouse allows you to zoom in. So what I would like to do is I would probably try to come over here and start filling my districts. So how do I select the geography? So now at this point, we have 2 options available. So we have the community, which you all know, the cities, the various communities in the county of Los Angeles, or you can use the redistricting data units. There are smaller units, there are about 3,000 of those, but the community one is what I would like to say that you should use because you already know the communities. So let's say I want to start with District 1 or maybe District 3 because this is where I know the current District 3 is. So I'll select District 3 and I'll zoom in here. And as I zoom in, I'm going to start seeing the labels and start seeing the cities and the unincorporated areas. So now in order to select, I have 4 options. So I can select a community by community, or I can draw a rectangle and that would select all the communities which are within that. Or I could use a polygon to select the communities, or I could simply use a straight line and then it'll pick all those communities which are within that straight line or intersect that straight line. So let's start with the first one. So I have selected District 3 and I want to assign Malibu to District 3. And so here, and notice that I was saying that my RDU, I don't want it to be RDU. I want it to be a community. So now when I pick that, the whole community of Malibu would be picked up. I can go pick up more. And notice that as I'm picking them up, that the numbers are being added over here. So looking at this, I've assigned only 27,000 people, and I have to go to 2 million. So what I can do now is, now that I know my cities and unincorporated areas, I can go one by one, or I can say, how about using a rectangle? And when I use a rectangle, then I can simply draw it like that. And whatever I select is going to be put in my selected district. So I would like to use my hand to move around the map. And once I pick my hand, I have to go back and pick my selection tool. So this time, maybe I'll use the polygon. And I will simply draw it like this. And double click when I'm done. and all those communities have been selected. I can scroll a little bit here and I may think, oh, why did I leave this out? So I could simply just use my rectangle tool, which I tend to use a lot because I just find it a faster way, first pass. And then when I'm fine tuning my districts, then I go to this where I can actually pick and choose which ones I would like. So this is the process of selecting, and you'll see that your number is growing. And once you feel that you're at a point where you have the right number, remember we have to keep track of our maximum deviation also. So, and this time I feel, oh my God, I didn't mean to do that. I got a whole lot more, and how do I fix it? So at this point, I'm simply going to select my district as unassigned, and I'll just do that so that this big block or this big community, which I believe is the forest, I would like to deselect it and make it unassigned. So here it seems like I am pretty close to where I need to be. And it's also telling me how many Latinos, white population, Black population. So it's keeping track of all that. At this point, I may think that I have it all, or I may say, I think I have 70,000 more. Let me try to go and get rid of maybe a community here and there so that my numbers would come closer to the ideal that I'm looking for. And this time now I'm 89,000 short. So I may say, no, I want to pick the one that I just gave away. So I can simply do an undo, and I'm sitting at 38,000 short. I can zoom in here and see if there is another community, and I have to make sure that I have the right district selected. And I am pretty close, 13,000 short. So at this point, I'll just say, how about locking it? And then later on, when I want to do something, I can go back and unlock it. So now I have basically locked my district 3 for the first pass, and I feel like that's pretty good. So let me go and look at district 5 now, which I would like to make it somewhere up here. So I will pick district 5, and I'll look at all these communities which are up there, but I also need to go up to 2 million people. So I will use my rectangle tool, and you'll find that I use that a lot just because I think it's easier. And now I have a problem. I'm realizing that my district 5 and 3 are so close in color that I can't really tell. So I can just right mouse click and say, I want to change the color to something different. So maybe I would like it to be something different so that I can differentiate. So, but this gave me only 708,000 people. So I'll say, okay, now let me be careful and see what do I want to include in my district 5. And then you can zoom in and you'll see the Tri-Cities, you'll see all these, and you can go pick one by one, or I pick this. And I'm thinking, do I want to go include Burbank there? Maybe not, and maybe I'll just include these because I need to get to 2 million. So I'm at 1.5 million. So I can go and say, okay, maybe in my first pass, I'll go back and think later, but let me pick all these. And I can keep repeating this process until I am completely done and I have assigned everything to one district or the other. So here, notice that it keeps track of what is being unassigned, what is still unassigned, and excuse me. and what is assigned to a certain district. So in order to save time, I have already done a plan. I'm going to go ahead and save this plan. And I'll simply say save for training demo. And now I'm going to open a plan that I was working with. And when I open a plan, I can see all the plans. These are the templates that I was offered at the beginning. And I can see other plans as well. And I thought I had saved one here, which is called my training plan. And I'm going to just simply open it. So here in this particular plan, I have assigned geographies, communities to each district. And I think this is pretty good. And now I want to save it and make sure that I can review it before I can submit it. So far we were in the Create tab and we were using all these tools and we were using the pan, the zoom in, zoom out. And now what I would like to do is go into the Review tab. Before I move on, under the demographics, we have by default, the template offers these variables to us. And this is PL adjusted. This is voting age population. And if you're interested in CVAP, that is available. So as I showed you, some templates offer you already with these, but if you want to go back and add any, you can do that. So let's get into the Review tab. And here I want to make sure that my plan, because the application does not allow me to submit a plan if it has any of those connectivity or contiguity or assignment problems, it won't let me do that. So let me run the check integrity and see how my plan is. And this is under the Review tab. When I run the check integrity, most of the times, the first three, the application takes care of. So the first three, you're bound to have them done. And because the application automatically takes care of them. Now the maximum deviation check, which I told you that the maximum deviation should be under 10%. And that is the one, if it fails, we have to go and check on that. But here it did pass our check. Now it is saying that we have some communities that we did not assign. So we are going to go into this null assignment check. And we can also see here that I have 51,410 people, which I have not assigned to any district. So here I'm going to, instead of me zooming in and trying to find out where those null assignments are, I'm just going to tell the system to tell me, oh, okay, and remember that my unassigned color is blue. And I'm going to go ahead and assign this. And looking at the surrounding areas, this area should be in District 3. So I'll go back to my Create tab, make sure I have District 3 selected, and I'm going to make sure that I have my rectangle tool selected. And here I made a mistake. This is not the district that I wanted to do. I wanted to put it in District 2. So I'll go back. I can simply do the undo and say, oh, I didn't mean it. So I can now go select District 2, which is my green district, and I'll just select it, and I've taken care of that. Now I'll say zoom to the next one. And if you notice, my unassigneds are all 0. So we have taken care of that. So if I run it again, this would pass. But while I'm here, I want to check on my connectivity check, which failed. So it says that there are, okay, so here, same thing, District 1 has 2 disconnected parts, District 2. So instead of me zooming in, I'll just use the application. And I'll say, okay, tell me for District 1, show me where that part is. And we are going to zoom in and realize that, oh, we have this disconnected part that I accidentally assigned the Santa Monica Mountains to District 2 rather than District 1. So once again, here, I'm going to select my District 1. And I'm going to assign that, and I have taken care of that. So next part, and I'll see if there is any other. So I'll go here and see if there is anything that I have left out. And I'm going to use my, so here, I'm just seeing if there is anything that pops out. So we are going to look at that and see if there is anything that we can find out. And I don't see it. So let me see if there is anything anywhere else. I'm going to say, how about refresh? And I've taken care of all the problems that the software told me. And it automatically runs the integrity check for me. So now that my checks it's all passed, I can now look at submitting it. But before that, I may just like to see some reports. So I can just simply go back to the review tab. And under the review tab, I'm going to look at the population summary report. And I'll just click on OK. And it's going to, and I'm going to save it as a PDF. Now at this point, I'm not sure if you're able to see this, but this is basically a report, population summary report, and it also gives me my maximum deviation. So I can go back to my application. And I hope you can see my application here now. So I can just look at district distribution and develop some reports here. And I can pick for District 1. And there are several charts that you can see. And one of the goals is to look at where the minorities are. So you want to make sure that you have, because currently you have 2 or at least 1 district, which is Latino majority. So you want to make sure that you look at those numbers as well. Because when the commissioners are going to evaluate the plan that you submitted, they're going to look at maximum deviation. They're going to look at majority minority districts. They're going to look at how the communities of interest are being split, that type of stuff. So as you can see, it takes a little while to just come up with a plan. So once you make a plan, you want to make sure that you have looked at all the redistricting criteria and made sure that your plan is contiguous and nothing is unassigned. And actually, the application will not let you submit a plan which does not meet the basic redistricting criteria. So once you're done at this point, we are ready to go ahead and submit it. So I'm going to say, I want to submit the plan. And under the submit tab, there is only one option, which is submit the plan. So here it says, would you like to save it? Yeah, you should always save it before you submit. And press OK to submit the plan. And once you submit it, it's going to rerun the checks. And at this point, you would like to provide information to the commissioners as to what was your objective in drawing this plan and what were you trying to achieve. And that is, it's not required, but it's good because it helps, because you put in a lot of time to create this plan. So when the commissioners get to see what you were trying to do or why your plan is so important, all those things come in handy. So I'm just going to say this plan was created for training. And once I say submit, and I have an email address here. So when I click on submit plan, it says, yeah, a plan, once you submit a plan, you cannot edit it. If you would like to make any edits, then you would do a save as, and then you can resubmit it. But the plan that you have already submitted, you cannot edit it. So now it says, you have already submitted it, and whatever email you provided when you were creating an account, you will get an email saying that your plan has been received. And what we are also doing is that your plan, once you submit it, it's going to show up on the LACRC website under the hub. And there we already have 5 plans, and I'm sure this is going to show up there as well. So that is how you would use the redistricting application. And I know that what I have done is I have tried to show you the process and at the same time tried to simplify it. But it does take some time, but once you get used to it, it is a pretty straightforward process. And basically, you are telling the commissioners how you think the district should be drawn. So that is how you would submit. But I also wanted to show you how you can share your plan. So you may like to share it with your colleagues before you submit it. So you can come into the share tab. And what you can do is you can say, I want to create a group and I want to just share it with that group before I submit it. So we click on manage groups, and here is the option for you to create a group. So you can click on create a group, and you can say it's a Tri-City Council or whatever you would like to call it. And you could give a description to that. And now the Tri-City Council has been created as a group. Now what you want to do is you can edit the group properties. And right now we are okay with that. And you can invite people that you would like to be a part of this group. So let's say I know that some others have created an account. So I'm going to see here if they are available, and they are here. So they have 3 accounts here. So what I can do is I can say, I want to send an invitation to this person. And once I click on that, that person is going to get an email from the application that you have been invited to join this group. So once they receive that notification, they would come into the application and then they would accept your invitation. Later on, if you feel like you want to remove some user, so you could remove them. And that is a good way to create groups and work within groups so that 2 people from the same organization are not submitting a plan which is kind of similar. So you can share your work and say, okay, this is how we would like to do, and share ideas and then submit it. You can receive their comments, etc. So if I click on this, and this is for demonstration purposes, and Ty who we know works for the LACRC. He is going to get an invitation from me to join this group. I'll say, yeah, I do want to invite him. All right, so I have done that, and once Ty accepts it, then he's going to be able to see it from my, he's going to be able to see my plan. So when I say I want to share my plan, so now who do I want to share it with? I can select the group that I want to share with, and I will click OK. And now Ty is going to be able to see my plan. So I've already submitted it. So that is one thing, but I can now only this group I showed you how to do that. If I did not care about the groups and I just wanted to share with everyone what I have done, then I can choose everyone. And then if I say, okay, share it with everyone, then anyone can see the plan that I have worked with. So these are some nice tools that the application offers. And the whole purpose is to create the 5 districts. So that is how you would use the application. Now let me go back and show you how to use the other templates as well. So I can go into Open. And now I have 3 folders. I can see my shared plans. I can see my plans. But these others, these were offered to us as, so here I'm going to pick the community of interest. These were the 3 options that were given to us before. So I'm going to say I want to open it. And this time, because it's my community of interest, I'm going to get only 1 district. So here I'm going to zoom in and notice that those communities are so important. So I want to go back to my table of contents area, and I'm going to double click on the LA County reference. Double click is the key, and I'm going to turn the cities and communities. And if I choose to use other layers like council districts, city council, neighborhood council, and there is a wealth of information here. And if you choose to use them, you can use them. But for me, I think the cities and communities is the most important. And once I select them here, I want to make sure that I turn this toggle on and notice that my cities and my unincorporated areas are here. And as I zoom in, I can see the labels. So let's say I want to make a community of interest, and I want to be able to go to the Tri-City area and just show you as a for demonstration purposes. So how do I go back and select these? Remember, I have to use the Create tab, and I'll go under the Create tab, and I'm going to use either my 1x1 community, and selection level is community. So I will click on this, and maybe I'll just click on Burbank, but that's not helping me, right? Because I forgot to select my district. So I'll click this, I'll click this, I'll click this. So in essence, I've created this community of interest area, which is comprised of 3 cities, communities, and I have grouped them into one. So, and then I may go in and say, okay, how about what is down here? Maybe I should include this. So that is something that how you would think, and you would say, okay, let's include this. And then let's see what the population is going to be like. And notice that my level was automatic and it's picking 1 RDU at a time. I would rather have the whole city. So I would click on community and just click on that, and the whole South Pasadena would be selected. So I typically like to make sure that I work at the community level. And So I have created one district and one community of interest rather. And that is what I want the community to see, because this community may be important to me. And it tells me that the total population is 485,681. So at this point, I may like to go in and just submit this. But when I try to go and submit, it's not going to. Only the plan, save a copy. So I have to make sure that I go under the file tab and I say Tri-Cities. And I will go ahead and submit it. And notice how the application typically looks for maximum deviation. But when I'm making only a single district plan, I will fail, my plan will fail on the maximum deviation. So I'll go under view and I'll make it view regional. And when I do that and I go and submit, it should work. It's going to bypass those other tests. And once again, and I'm submitting all these plans, so I can just write that this is a COI and it comprises of these cities or whatever details I would like to provide. And it says a plan may not be edited, it warns you. And once again, what happens is you get an email that your plan has been accepted, it has been submitted, and you would see that email. So this is how you use the application. And what I'm going to do is ask you if you have any questions. So feel free to ask me, or I don't know if I have access. Yeah, you can send me questions in the chat box, but that's how you use the application. And all I want to show you is that I can go back and open any of the plans that I had worked on, and I can choose to use only my plans. So notice how my training demo, my training plan, my Tri-Cities, they are there. So I can go in and say, what about my training demo? I can open that plan. And notice that I had just worked on just one district or two districts that I was doing. So I can come back at a later time and be able to work on this. So it's about 2:53. I'm leaving a few minutes for questions. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. So any questions, you feel free to unmute yourself and you can ask those questions, or you can put them on the chat box and I can help you answer them. If there are no questions, I'm just going to show one little thing here that may be helpful. And that is, we go under the View tab. Actually, under the Create tab, I can simply find a city. So I can say I want to select by attributes. And this is if you would like to try this. So here my layer is community. And I can go in here and ask for the community name. Give me some sample values. So I want to say that the community name equals Agura Hills. And it says, where do you want to put this? It'll find it and it'll put it in the district that we want. So I'll go back here and say, no, I want to put it in District 3 or District 2 to show you. So I'll just pick that and I would say, apply the selection results to District 2. And it says, oh, that District 2 is locked, so it can't do it. So I'll go back here and I will unlock my district and to District 2, if it's unlocked, and I will say apply. And now if you close it, what happened was it found Agura Hills and then it put it in District 2. And obviously I meant District 3. So I can go in here, pick District 3 and so that is how you would work with the application. A lot of tools are there and it may seem that it's a lot, but I tell you, once you start working with it, it gets easier. With this, we are almost getting to 3 o'clock and I'm going to sign out from the application, make sure I save my work, sign out of the application, and once again, open it up for you for any questions from you all. And if there are no questions, I would like to thank you all for attending the training. And we'll be in touch. And you already have the contacts at LACRC that you can call for any questions that you may have. Thank you all. And with this, I'm going to stop the recording.